say they like coast to coast, but on demand, raw and uncut interviews, and all without no ads. One says false and one says true, and the reach of synchros too. Grimerica, Grimerica is here for you. Stories from the listeners they sent to Graham. He'll read them and be amazed, but Darren may say no. One says red and one says blue, but if it's balls it just won't do. Grimerica, Grimerica is here for you.
And then one day, one of their women had a dream. She had a vision which told her that there was a plant in her forest that, if ingested by the men, would drastically reduce their testosterone levels.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica Show. We are going to be chatting with our good buddy Garnet Schulhauser again a little bit later about his new book. But first, as always, Graham, are we going to interview you there? Dunlop, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good for a good Friday morning. Been in the studio for 4 hours, and we've only done like 40 minutes worth of recording.
That's like 10 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been good.
We fucked up the time zones again.
Yeah. And we got...
Luckily, the right direction.
Yes. I was scared when you told me we messed up the time zones. But that's your pet peeve, right? Because we have to go forward. We went forward, and other people didn't go forward.
Fucked us.
Okay, settle down there, buddy.
I'm going to sign a petition.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to get a petition going. I think there's already one in Alberta, actually. I just got to track it down and put the link in the show notes. I wonder if you have to be from Alberta to sign it.
I don't know.
Do we get listeners to sign my...
All over the world? Sign your time zone petition?
Yeah.
Are we the only... So what happens then? Some provinces go forward and back and others don't?
I don't think Saskatchewan moves.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I don't think Arizona moves.
So they chose not to move, though? Or
the state...
Or did we choose to move?
We chose to move.
Oh, is that what it is?
Or I don't know the history of fucking whether or not Saskatchewan changed and changed back or what happened there.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
But we change it for no...
Apparent reason other
than I think it's a big business thing. You use more lights. They get you an extra month of using your fucking lights in the morning.
It's not about that.
Come on.
You think you're the skeptical guy and you think that it's because of more lights? Like hydro is going to cost you like an hour more in the morning or something?
Yeah.
And not at night though? Why wouldn't it be like, what's the difference?
I don't know. Maybe because you're at work in the morning, not at night. It's easier to,
I don't believe that one at all. See. Some energy lobby wants the time to change.
I tweeted a link about how big business was responsible for the time change.
Yeah, I did see that. I didn't read it though.
Well,
all right.
Then you have no standing.
Well, you should explain it better.
I didn't read it. I just tweeted it.
Do you ever read any of the things you tweet?
I read some things.
Yeah. You tweet a lot of Canadian stuff.
Yeah.
I noticed.
We're Canadian.
Why? Do you have some sort of CBC link or some sort of
news feature of my...
Is that what it is?
iPhone.
Oh.
So you just... problem with that?
No, I just wondered what your process was like. That's all. I just see these tweets coming from you. And
don't worry about my process. You worry about ironing out your process. Okay?
So
I know your process a bit.
How about not burning the emails I have? I've lost listener emails I had ready for the show here because he physically grabbed paperwork to burn to start a fire out of the studio. Thanks. Now I got to go through my emails and try
that would have been a problem you'd face. That I would boot in the door, steal paper. I was needed to get a fire going ASAP.
And you have to take there's no newspapers around or anything like that you can use? No. You have to use my actual listener emails to start a fire?
Yeah, I guess.
And the ones that I actually had to read?
I thought I picked the old ones.
Anyways, I got more here.
I apologize. I'll no longer burn things from the studio.
Appreciate the listener feedback. Do you want to get into that now, or do you want to talk about some stuff like events from Calgary and
Events from Calgary? You're eventing?
Yeah, kind of.
Sure.
Well, I went to this. I invited you to go too, and I invited our buddy James. But I went
Alone.
to my. No, Stephen was there, and some other friends were there. But went to Stefan's house to watch a video of this free energy.
Ooh, how was it?
It was pretty mind blowing, actually, and it wasn't like anybody selling anything or anything like that. But he personally knows an autistic guy in Quebec who does this, like he puts all these copper coils together and stuff like that, and has some sort of switch, and he creates basically this energy. Like he can run like, let's say 9 volts or something like that out of nothing. And the video is all this edited sort of VHS tape and all, but it's of him in a room presenting. Some of it is, and some of it's DVD, but he edited it all together just to summarize it all, right? And he's in this room presenting to a bunch of people, and he shows like he's got this plexiglass panel
But
with
you
the
didn't
copper
watch
wires
it
and
on
all
a
this.
VCR, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Jesus.
Sorry,
And it
that's a
shows-
credibility thing. If
and it
Buddy's showing
shows
you his
that-
presentation on a VCR, it's a huge problem for me.
Yeah, no, it's all.
Okay.
There's a
I had to
beautiful,
clarify that.
beautiful big TV, DVD, everything. Don't worry about all that stuff. Anyways, it shows like this guy is.
It was on a DVD?
Yeah, I think so.
Even
No,
that?
it was on a smart computer. It was, for fuck's sakes.
Okay. It was on a smart computer.
A smart
Good to know.
TV. Like it was all linked up with the TV. Like
Okay.
so, it was
Okay.
professional. If that's what you're looking for here. But it was also homemade, right? Like it's not something that's out there on the internet, right? I mean, this guy is a little.
Is it on
bit-
YouTube?
Not this whole. No, he can't really put it on YouTube because it'll cause a bunch of commotion probably, and the guy will
End up dead.
Yeah, he's already been studied by NASA on all this.
NASA? Is that like a NSA offshoot?
Anyways, yes,
Continue. Okay.
probably the NSA has been involved as well. So he's generating some sort of electricity, right? He really is, and it's very mysterious about how it works. Like he doesn't really know how it works
Does
either.
it turn on a light or something?
Yes, and all kinds of stuff. Like
Is that how it's
proven?
that's what you've
Yes.
seen? A light?
all kinds of different presentations of how and what this can do. He can do a power saw, like what a skill saw. It can power a skill saw, not super fast but slow.
Oh boy.
Just because that was a smaller one, right?
Okay.
Anyways, there's a ton of different panels that this guy has created with copper
I'm
wires
curious.
and all this, and there's some very, very interesting.
We should try and get the
There's a
studio
consciousness
running.
aspect as well to it.
100% free energy.
Can you just interact with me here in
I
a
am.
proactive way instead of making jokes and
Bring one.
bring
the
panel?
video.
Yeah.
Can you
I
bring an
can't.
actual
No,
panel?
you have to come and see it next time yourself. Okay, I'm relating that there's definitely stuff out there, right? That people are doing. The problem is it's hard to explain, right?
I was going to build my own free energy machine.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted you to come because it would inspire you.
Good luck.
How are you going to build your free energy machine?
I'm not telling you. Magnets.
Anyways, it was
I
great.
will come next time.
It was great.
I will
And
come.
it's just it's
We
kind
should
of
get him on
mind
the show.
opening, right? It's kind of mind opening. You can't. He's French.
Oh,
He doesn't even speak English, really.
he doesn't speak
I don't
English.
think so. My friend does, but the real guy.
Oh, the guy who made the machine.
Yeah.
So Buddy's just relaying the information to you.
Exactly. He's seen it
He
all
didn't
personally.
make the machine.
He's seen it all personally. No, he knows this guy personally, and he's been given this raw data, like this raw footage and all that, and he compiled it into a DVD
I
for
see.
us. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, very interesting. We'll do it again sometime. He's going to have people over.
Can't you just get a copy?
No.
Pretty
no, it's
protective
not.
over it?
Yeah, it's kind of, you got to go there and see it.
Can't we just promise
Promise not to
put it on YouTube?
No. Yeah,
That's not good
no. I mean, he trusts me, I'm sure, but he
Doesn't trust me.
yeah. He's probably listened to a few shows. He's like, that Darren guy is not trustworthy.
I seem like trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll come watch at the secret screening
Okay.
and make my own.
Okay,
assertions.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's good.
And if it works, we should get the igloo running on free energy. We could get a couple guys meditating up on the roof if we need to.
Okay. Sure thing. Yeah, I think there's
I wonder
lots
if
of
you
it
get
out there.
cats to meditate. Because it's supposed to be like chakra cleansers or whatever.
Oh, are they?
So I wonder if you put enough cats in the box next to the machine, if that would...
Well, that's interesting you bring up
Kickstarter.
cats, because the guy that I was
Because
at...
I think I heard a rumor once that if you could cram like fucking 50 cats into the engine of my small block 350, you could drive.
Really?
From the static electricity generated.
No, you're just shitting me.
No, I read that. It was in a Believe It or Don't, I think.
Have you heard about cats taking chronic stuff away from you, diseases and stuff like that, and helping
I
you
haven't
heal?
heard diseases, but I've heard they can help you heal spiritually. They cleanse your chakras.
Because the guy, Stefan...
My cat fucking fills up my chakras with shit because she pisses me off a lot. So I wonder if that's somehow testing me or if my cat's just a bitch.
No, he's testing you. You're supposed to learn how to deal with that.
How to just let the cat do whatever the fuck it wants and get over it. I got kids that teach me that.
Stefan had a pretty interesting thing about his cat and having the same lymph node problem as him, being on the same medication as his cat, actually.
I've been on the same medication as my cat before.
Yeah.
Ketamine.
Have you?
K?
Ketamine? Really?
Once, yeah, when
Special K?
I was in college.
Really? How was that?
Not fun.
Really?
I didn't enjoy it.
Really?
No. I wouldn't do it again. I never did it again. I did one time.
Wow.
Didn't enjoy it. I did too much. I think. Like so many things, once you do too much of something, it's just never the same.
Yeah, but how do you know the difference between a heroic dose and too much? That's a pretty fine line.
Maybe it was a heroic dose. Maybe too much is a heroic dose that you're not ready to have.
What about the DMT thing? Are you going to have a trip report for us soon?
Maybe in the summer.
Or did you lose it?
No.
Really?
I don't lose things.
Are you gonna? I'm looking forward to this.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to
Do
living?
you need a chaperone at all?
Probably not. I don't need your entity kicking around, raking me while I'm vulnerable.
Start playing around with your energy. So speaking of that, I do have an email that
Keep
kind
your
of...
hands off my energy. What sort of email? What sort of jingle?
it's going to be a possible trip report in the future. Speaking of psychedelics and stuff like that.
Grimerica Trip Report.
Actually, this is kind of a lucid dream thing as well, and some feedback from...
Is it real or a dream? What does that even mean?
Okay, thanks, buddy. Okay, thanks for the jingles.
Anytime.
This is from our buddy Randy, who is up north in BC somewhere, and he says, well, thank you so much for the shirt. I sent him a
14 hours
t-shirt.
away.
That's the guy. He wants to model our t-shirt for us. He gave us a pic of him in the gym. It's the best I've ever seen that t-shirt. Besides on me, of course. You should put that on our website.
Pictures of muscular dudes in the t-shirt. You know, women wear the t-shirt.
Yeah.
They probably look better than you and the muscular dude.
All right, so he says...
Just glazing right over that.
Oh, and he talks about if we need a Grimerica t-shirt model to let him know.
Perfect.
So he says, also, I want to let you know how your show has opened up my life and my mind to things I never thought possible. I would say probably 3 days a week I have a lucid dream. After listening to the Robert Wagner podcast, I tried asking the dream, what is the meaning? As he said, there was a booming voice that replied. I've had some interesting conversations with dream figures. The lessons that they have told me is that I'm not ready spiritually enough to receive the answers to the questions I ask. They have said that when I'm ready, the answers will come. Buddy, I'm telling you, life is so fucking exciting now. So him and his wife, they're together up there, and they make it a point after the Sunday morning group meditation that they go to go on a few-hour nature adventure somewhere, and it's stunning. So he says he's been listening a lot to Joe Rogan and his views on DMT and mushrooms. We went for a kayak the other day and found a place like an enchanted forest you can only get to by canoe or kayak. I'm telling you, Graham, it's the biggest visual mindfuck you can imagine. It doesn't even seem real. So my wife and I are going to go out there and try small doses of a hallucinogen to try and take a shortcut to what deep meditation achieves. Tell Darren, don't worry, I'll be logging these events, so if some cool shit happens, you'll be the first to know. And he says his 5 a.m. workouts are much better listening to our podcast. You guys are hilarious. I will be in mid-workout and have a big laugh out loud, and people look at me like I'm crazy. So he sent us a pic as well of the thing.
Of the shirt looking the best you've ever seen it.
I was just kidding, buddy. Don't take that too far.
Building my case.
So that's it.
Can I see the pic?
buddy.
Can I see the pic?
No, it's not available.
In a private stash.
I'm surprised you didn't use it for starting a fire.
Oh, I swear I know that guy. Deja vu.
Yeah. So I got another one from a local dude.
A local dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big thanks, actually, for Doug. He sent us a check, donated to the show, and he sent a little typed note with it.
We'll see how the check cashes.
Yeah. Hey guys, I discovered your show only about a week ago and I absolutely love what you're doing. I'm a finishing carpenter here in Calgary and I work alone, so I'm fortunate to be able to listen to a lot of audiobooks and podcasts while I work. I know what he means, man. I used to paint and do that. I devour like a book a day sometimes.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Just got a headache.
So he noticed earlier on that you're into synchronicities, as I am as well. Here's why I'm donating. Today I listened to your January 29th show with Mike Cleland. You were talking synchronicities and owls. And at the 1:53:45 marker, Mike was about to relate a story that happened on March 10th, 2013. Darren jumped in and said, hey, that's my birthday. I chuckled at the synchronicity, then stopped and said, wait a minute. I pulled out my phone and checked the date. Yep, March 10th. A sure sign to donate to Darren's birthday. There are no owls in my story except to say the girl that served me at Tim Hortons this morning did have nice hooters. Take care, guys, and since I'm sending this snail mail, happy belated birthday to Darren. So thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
And that leads me to the No Agenda meetup. Some people that also listen to this podcast listen to the No Agenda show. And we've got a meetup happening in Red Deer.
Red Deer.
So it's kind of like for No Agenda listeners, obviously. Like a lot of people listen to the same podcast, but it's a good way to connect with a bunch of like-minded people. So people that are local to Calgary or Edmonton or Alberta in general can join us sometime in May, June. And I'll put a link in the show notes to it. It's No Agenda Meetup, and it's under upcoming events.
We should make Dvorak or Curry fly out for it. Probably if you get over 20.
Well, no, I think if we get over 10 accepted, then they'll talk about it on the show. So the No Agenda is kind of not really like our style of show, but it's more about like media deconstruction and kind of more of like geopolitics and stuff like that. But it's still pretty fascinating.
That's where I get my news.
Yeah. So even if you're not going, sign up and just RSVP that you're not going. That way, at least we can kind of track some of the local NA crowd. Have you signed up yet?
I have not.
Why not?
I don't know.
Are you coming?
Probably.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll have my night ring by then.
Yeah, there you go. You can punch someone in the face with your No Agenda night ring.
Yeah, thanks.
What?
Like I would ever do that.
You would never? What if someone assaulted you? What if I assaulted you?
I would just...
I wonder if I can get you to punch me.
I would not.
That's going to be my goal this summer, is to get Graham to punch me.
I would not. No violence.
No?
No.
I'll test that. I've seen you be pretty violent with your desk.
Okay, what do you want to hear? Do you want to hear a double synchronicity from the UK or a little synchronicity from Halifax?
You choose.
I'm a rambling Graham with synchronicities all over the web. And Darren is skeptical about everyone and don't believe it yet.
So this is from Adam in Nova Scotia. Hi guys, I'm a new listener I'm an illustrator, so I spend a lot of time at home hunched over my desk, drawing, smoking weed, and listening to podcasts. I hope he doesn't mind if I read this.
Smoking what?
The green.
Oh, I thought he was drawing smoking things.
I was all caught up on my favorites and starving for content to fill my long, hazy nights and stumbled across Grimerica. I couldn't believe the number of shows you guys have already done, and I've dove right in. I've been binging YouTube autoplay. I enjoy the interviews, but I like listening to you two the best. At times I feel the banal voyeurism of eavesdropping on the table behind me at Tim Hortons, except Rupert Sheldrake is there too. Anywho, I have a sort of synchronicity within a synchronicity for you. It's pretty mundane, but strange nonetheless. I was at my desk one night working on some artwork. I was drawing something and I couldn't get it right. Just when I was giving up, some books on my bookshelf toppled over. My head snapped around and I realized the book that had fallen over had a reference image in it that would make my job a lot easier. As I said, pretty mundane, didn't give it a second thought. Later in the weekend, I was listening to MU, can't remember which episode, but Aaron was talking about something and went on a tangent, listing off strange phenomena. Immediately, I recalled my synchronicity earlier in the week, and literally as the thought hit me, Aaron said the words shelf elf. As if my thoughts synced up with his words for a split second. It's certainly not beyond coincidence, but strange nonetheless. I commend your DIY attitude for not having paywalls. I donated what I could through PayPal. So yeah, he donated a couple bucks here for us. And he says, stop muting the weed smoking mic.
I had a couple people say don't mute.
Oh, that's really? Do we have to get into that now?
No.
Wow. No, I mean like the
Not
discussion
muting.
between not muting or muting. I can't believe people like to hear that.
Yeah, they like to hear my antics.
Oh, geez.
So I've started muting the recording, but not the guest. Maybe I should do vice versa. Anyway, I forget what I was
Did you
gonna
read
say.
Justin's blog on our website there?
Not yet. I've been building a deck.
Justin, oh yeah, how's that going?
It's fucking a mission.
Is it?
This
Are you
finally, this
enjoying
last
using
week,
your hands and like
I
building
do.
something?
I like to build things. I enjoy it. It's just, there's so much to do, and it's just, it becomes a lot of work. And I'm like a person who likes to get things done. You know what I mean? I don't like things to drag out over fucking weeks. I
Really?
like to just, when I'm building things, I
You
like
just
to
want to get it done?
Yeah.
So
That's
the
why I did
landlord, so your
at
landlord
work.
is like,
That's why I
is
did
like,
so well at work. So when I'm building shit, it's like, okay, let's go. Let's get this fucking thing built and get on to the next one.
right. Because of that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, exactly. I seek that sense of accomplishment. Probably fucking something happened to me when I was a kid that I just need to finish the job to feel good. Otherwise, it fucking bugs me.
Really?
Especially like if I'm sitting on the couch and it's like still bright outside doing
Really?
something and I could be finishing that.
Wow.
But then on like Sunday, after doing 2 13-hour days, Saturday and Sunday, I was like, no, I'm not doing nothing all week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm not touching it. That's what I did. I took the whole week off. Didn't do
And so
nothing.
how does that work? You build a deck and then you don't have to pay rent for a while to your landlord?
Yeah, we were going to move otherwise because we got a nice spot and everything. But with the economy coming down, some other places were coming up in our price range. And there's a couple things here. Like we couldn't even really let the kids out on the back deck too much. They could only go in that one little section of it, really.
Why is that?
Because it was really rotted out.
Oh, really?
Like when I stripped it down, some of the joists turned to dust.
Wow.
Just kick them and they fucking disintegrate.
Wow.
So once we stripped all that down, put in all new joists, and redecked it all with pressure treated. And now I've just started putting the handrail back up, which I'll finish right
Nice.
after we're done recording
Are you
this.
going to paint it or stain it or something like
I'm
that?
gonna the handrail I'm redoing. The handrail wasn't rotted. It's so dry here without the standing water on it. So that's still kind of painted. So I got to probably rent a pressure washer next weekend. We'll go grab a good pressure washer from Home Depot or wherever and fucking spray it down. Because I heard that works better than sanding.
Oh, yeah. If you can, yeah. If it comes off, yeah, for sure.
It's
And then you
too
just
hard
gotta
on
let
the
it
wood
dry, though.
sometimes.
And you just got to really let it dry. Yeah, you got to be careful with it. If you put
Just-
it too close, you'll just eat right into the wood. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll get a feel for it on some scrap.
Yeah.
And then,
I could probably help you paint it or stain it or something at some point.
And then I want to paint it. Well, at some point, I'll probably want to, I think in the fall, I want to look at maybe painting the house.
Oh, yeah, it needs a good paint job.
Needs a good paint job in there, yeah. Like maybe send the wife and kids away for the weekend and just
Yeah, it's going to take you like a full weekend.
That's what I figure. Yeah. Like start Friday.
It's going to be way longer than you expect.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. So,
probably hire you on for that.
Sure.
Won't pay you.
Won't pay me? What do I get out of it?
You get just that sense of accomplishment with me. You can chase that sense of accomplishment with me. So anyway, I made the deal with the landlord that if we want to stay, there's two things. There's a bathtub and then redo the front and back decks. And the back one especially. I mean, the front one isn't a big deal. It's only 6 inches off the ground, but the back one's 12 feet high. So
nice.
So we've been doing that.
Right on.
Yeah.
So did you read Justin's blog?
No.
So
this weekend I'm hoping to get some shit done.
So he wrote a blog about it's called
the anecdotal one.
Anecdotal.
Yeah, I kind of perused it quickly, but I haven't really jumped into it. But Justin's blogs are always great. Yeah,
I'll link to it in the show notes as well. But I wanted to talk about it because anecdotal. It's interesting how messed up we are about needing evidence for stuff. Like, remember I was talking about that piercing, that Daith piercing for my girlfriend's migraines.
Getting pierced?
Yeah, we read up on it and stuff because she heard that this piercing could help migraines, right? And there's a bunch of people poo-pooing the idea because of the lack of evidence, right? Can you just listen to a conversation?
I'm listening. I'm just wondering.
I don't think so.
Okay. Continue.
I have a couple of female shirts actually in the closet if they want them because they're separate. They're different shirts, right?
They're smaller. They're kind of built for figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, where was I? So anyways, people were poo-pooing it because of the lack of scientific evidence, right? And it's one of those things, like, who cares? If people say that it works and you get a piercing and it does something, who knows what? Like, why not try it, right? That's just a placebo effect, girl. No, there might be a meridian or something going on. Something has changed. For 3 months, she hasn't had a migraine.
Really?
She's had headaches. And she had a migraine on the other side, but the side that she used to have the migraines on, and your wife has migraines, right? You know how crazy it is, right?
She hasn't had one in 3 or 4 months either. But she's started taking magnesium.
Yeah,
and that seems to be offsetting them.
That's good.
We just kind of go through. That's what we've been doing for years now, is just going through and trying one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Try that, and you think you're getting somewhere, and then bam, you get a migraine. Back to the fucking drawing board. Or is it just a weird one-off that snuck through? Or, it's such a fucking tricky field to navigate. Yeah, and there's all different kinds, right? Like, she gets chronic migraines, right, where it would happen like every day for a while, or on day after day, or multiple times a month, like 15 times a month. So to see something change, like where it's been 3 months, that's pretty incredible from a fucking piercing, right? Yeah, no doubt.
But something relieved pressure. Doing that piercing in that area, that Daith piercing, like, it relieves some kind of pressure. Maybe cut off some sort of like vagus nerve thing, or
vagus nerve.
Yeah.
What's a vagus nerve?
That's your big nerve that they
makes you want to go to Vegas.
They try and stimulate. It's the gambling nerve. No, Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Not Vegas.
Okay. You didn't say Vegas. I might go to Vegas in September. Never been.
Really? Oh, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, for the wife's birthday, we're talking about maybe saving up. And
just be careful there. You may not come back.
The mother-in-law's offered up a babysitting. Come out to babysit for a weekend if we want to go away.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. Take off. Well, I should stay out of trouble. My drinking days are mostly behind me. So.
Yeah, but if you just be careful.
Yeah. Grimerica host goes to Vegas, doesn't come back. Get some Vegas while he's there.
Do you want to hear a couple more synchronicities, or should we save them for next time?
A couple more should be okay.
Really? All right. So this is from Callum in the UK. He says, "Hello guys, jumping on the recent UK bandwagon and send you guys this email from Scotland.
UK posse.
Yeah.
It's a hashtag now.
I've been unsure about whether or not to send you these two odd events for well over a year, but decided after retelling these to a few friends recently that you both had to hear. Thanks for all the great work you do by putting together a top quality product. Grimerica is a fantastic show with a great mix of guests, unique content, and perspectives not found anywhere else. And for this reason, I'll be sending in my first donation at the end of the month. I know the douchebag jingle is appropriate here. That's from No Agenda, which we were talking about earlier.
We don't have a douchebag.
No.
Jacob. We're too polite for that.
Yeah. We're Canadian, eh? If you deem these worthy of airing on the show, I would ask that you should keep me.
Did you already say his name?
I told him it's okay to say his first name. I asked him. So he's got a double synchronicity here. Over a year ago, around Christmas time, I was walking through the busy city center picking up some last-minute gifts. For around 6 months before this, I'd be attending a Buddhist temple for meditation, and I'd been a solid daily meditator for around 8 months. By this point, I was feeling more aware than I ever had and extremely clear cognitively. I have a feeling this had something to do with the synchronicity. By mid-December, I had stopped attending the weekly sessions in the temple for around 2 weeks. As I made my way along the main street in a slow and mindful walk, a thought suddenly pushed its way to the front of my mind and said, I should go back to the temple. I had barely enough time to entertain this thought before I had, while still walking, turned my head to the right to see the class instructor from the temple sitting in the window seat of the restaurant I was passing by. The sensation of deja vu hit me like a brick wall as I realized who it was, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I carried on walking along the road with a burst of adrenaline from what had just happened. When the thought had pushed its way to the front of my mind, I had been about one shop before this restaurant window with the thought still in my mind. For no reason at all, I turned my head to the right to see the instructor. I could not have known they would have been sitting there until I was directly parallel to the restaurant window and looking at the instruction only a few meters away from me. The instructor hadn't noticed as I walked by, and I continued down the street almost in shock that I could have had a thought like that seconds before seeing this person almost face to face. This isn't a small area either. I live in a highly populated city, so I can't imagine what the chances are this situation would have happened. But it didn't end there. I went on down the street for over 10 minutes as I walked toward the nearest train station. I came to within 2 blocks of the station and been wandering for a few minutes. Should I head...
Wandering while wandering?
Yeah, exactly. Should I head straight to my friend's house or head on home and practice playing piano for a little while first? As I neared the station, I chose to walk down a street I don't normally use, with the question still on my mind. Looked to my right again to see a gas station with the word piano spray painted in capital letters across the back of its exit sign. Once again, I almost couldn't believe my eyes, and strangely enough, coupled with the sensation of deja vu, I felt extremely lucky. Needless to say, I went on home to play piano and decided to make time for the weekly meditation sessions again. Both of these synchronicities took place within 15 minutes of each other, and I felt the strongest feeling of deja vu I've ever experienced. I can't possibly imagine how this combination and almost precognition could have come together, and I haven't had any comparable experiences like this one. That's my double synchro, 2 strangely unconnected thoughts, but nonetheless very unusual. Thanks again to you both.
I agree with playing the piano. I've been learning how to play violin. I got a violin for my birthday.
So what if you were thinking about going home and doing that and not sure what you'd do, and you turn around and see violin spray painted somewhere?
I would probably not listen, but I think I should come home and play my violin.
Yeah.
I think anytime it's a better choice.
No, but wouldn't that be pretty...
Yeah, I'll give it an 8.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The 2 of them together.
I've got a similar one I've been saving up from Anna, and I think it fits in with this.
I wonder if that people calling and people seeing and, thinking of people right before you see them or right before they call. I wonder if that's got something to do with their fields crossing.
Yeah, I think so. There's some sort of connection going on there.
Yeah.
You're picking up something, right?
Sense.
Like you're picking up something.
Yeah.
This is a good example of this one. Wait till you hear this one. This is from
Is this
Anna.
the same one? Oh, this is the one I burned?
Yeah, you probably burnt this piece of paper.
Sorry,
so
Anna.
I've found the second. This is the second one. She sent me 3 a while back, and I've been saving them up. So the second synchro occurred after I had begun a new job a few months after that incident. So there was a guy, this customer, who had come into the small store where I worked, who I had an immediate crush on. One day I had taken the subway to 14th Street, but had to transfer to another train. And in order to do that, I had to walk down this long, long tunnel which connects the 2 stations. It was right around rush hour, which meant this tunnel was packed with thousands of people, with one line streaming in the direction I was headed and the other streaming in the opposite. I had my headphones on and my head down, just falling into the rhythm of the moving line. Out of nowhere, this guy from the store popped into my mind, and I became overwhelmed with a feeling of such joy and calm that I smiled. At that very moment, I looked up, and this guy's face was 10 feet away from me, coming right toward in the opposite line of people. I was smiling from thinking about him, so when we locked eyes with me and he smiled back and gave a wave, but from my shock, I didn't wave back, just staring at him, smiling, incredulous at what I was seeing. This also happened within about a 5-second time frame, and because both streams of people were moving so fast, I couldn't even stop to say anything to him or even think about it. So that's very similar to me, like that just something comes to your mind like that, so powerful, a clear thought, and then you look up and it's right there, like...
Manifestation or fields crossing again?
Fields crossing.
That could be some sort of maybe intertwined souls.
Is that like the ripple stick thing you're talking about?
It could be kind of ripple sticky. I think it's more of a past life thing. Their souls are intertwined. It's just a matter of time.
So that when you're that close, like you're actually connecting in some way?
You've got, your history is so...
So she's like picking up that energy, and then she's thinking about him, and then she looks up and he's right there looking at her.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Maybe they've had some sort of special relationship in a past life.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Reminds me of the books, The One Great Year kind of thing.
When's the next one of those coming out? Rennie.
I don't know. But thanks, Anna.
3 years isn't enough.
Are you going to rate that guy?
Grams on audio synchronicities? Audio synchronicities? Is that what they'd be?
No, I think you're getting... What?
Eccentricities?
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Eccentricities?
I think we just drop it right there.
We're just getting worse. There's some emails for you.
So are you going to rate that one from Anna?
You know who takes the time to email? People who don't like your fucking grammar.
What?
People who don't like grammar will take the time to email.
Why do you say that?
Or people who don't like people who don't use grammar properly. You know these people.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Whatever.
You've lost me, buddy.
It's just a matter of time.
Are you gonna rate Anna's synchro there? It's pretty powerful.
8.
Wow. Similar. Well, thanks for everyone to email in the feedback and the stories and all that. We'd love it.
Yeah.
It's like I keep waiting for other stories
too.
Yeah.
You guys should feel blessed.
People just can't stop sending synchronicities, and it's funny.
That's good. Keep them coming. And we don't have to come up with content because it's not nearly as interesting.
I'm going back and forth with Jason, who's a little more skeptical, and I responded to his. He's been calling this. He thinks we're just pattern seeking individuals looking for these synchronicities. Like
I'm a pattern seeker for sure.
Yeah, but you think there's more to it than just coincidence, right?
Could be. There are no coincidences. Do you see the one with that same kid who was at the Brussels attack, the Paris attack, and the...
Was that real?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Did the media talk about it, or was it some YouTube video that talked about it?
It was like anti-media website I was on.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it's all fabricated, which I suppose is always a possibility.
Disinformation kind of thing to sort of hype up the
people
conspiracy.
Just making shit up. I think that happens.
So it was the same kid that was at Brussels, Paris, and the Boston bombing? The same kid at the same teenager at all three of those?
Yeah.
Like just shown on video or on camera or something? So then people are calling him a crisis actor and all that? I don't know if it was actually on camera.
No, he's mentioning that he was.
Wow.
He's a missionary or something.
Wow.
I did want to mention too, actually, one of my wife's best friends' nephew was hit by a car. And they're doing a GoFundMe for his rehabilitation. So I'll send you the link to that to put in the show notes.
Okay.
I would say if you're hovering between sending us $10 or sending them $10, they probably need it more. That being said, send us $10 too. Yeah, check out all the details are there. I don't want to get too into it here, but if you check out the link, the story and everything's all there. And they could use some help.
All right, buddy.
I think that's about it, eh?
Yeah, we got to talk about the upgrade. Didn't we talk about that yet?
Yeah, we're 33% sold out.
Well, we're more than that, actually, aren't we? Or
no, we're almost exactly. Actually,
really?
Probably about 33.3.
Okay, so So we as people know, we don't have any paywall here. There's all the content's for free. It's value for value. We ask for donations from our listeners just to help. There's no ads, no portals, no sponsorship. But we do need a new recording computer because the piece of crap you have over there is like 9 years old. So we're fundraising for a new Mac, and we're basically asking for donations, and we're going to sort of raffle off a chance to come on the show, or not a chance, but to come on the show with a guest and also an iPad full of stuff.
Yeah, come interview a guest with us.
Some swag.
Get an iPad with some pictures. We'll do a little photo shoot, take some pictures of the studio and stuff.
I don't know about a photo shoot. I mean, we'll throw some audiobooks in there and some podcasts.
Take some pictures of the studio.
Right.
And Graham.
No.
His favorite person. Yeah, a couple T-shirts we'll throw in there, some magnets, a mug, mouse pad. And, come on the show. And
so we're only selling like 125.
We're either doing 125 tickets or June 1st, whatever comes first.
April, May. So we still have 2 months to do it, yeah.
Yeah, but I'd like to do it much sooner than that.
Yeah.
So, like I say, we sold 40-some tickets now, so we got another 60 to go, or 80.
Yeah, and thanks to all the people that donate, it really helps the monthly expenses.
Yeah, absolutely. Check out grimerica.ca/upgrade for your chance for the iPad prize pack. And while you're there, head over to grimerica.ca/support. In the last few weeks, we've had a few people sign up for new monthly subscriptions. So that's awesome. Yeah. And a few of them are $1 a month or $2 a month, which is just fine with us. If everyone who listened to the show gave $1 a month, we would never have to ask you guys for anything.
Yeah, right on.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the chat with Garnet, our old buddy Garnet, and we'll see you in the outro. Actually, wait for it.
Profound UFO quote of the week.
Where's it going in?
Did you think you're going to get away with that right where we left off?
At the end?
Yeah.
Jeez, almost forgot the UFO quote. And I got a special one for you. And it's very timely. It's Hillary pledges to dig into the UFO files on Jimmy Kimmel. So let's check it out here.
President Clinton on the show, he said, I asked him about UFOs in Area 51.
Hillary will say anything to win.
If he looked in, because if I was president, that's the first thing I do. I go right into those files and see what was going on.
Right.
And he said that he did do that.
Yes.
And that he didn't find anything.
Well, I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah, why not?
Right? And there's a new name. It's unexplained aerial phenomenon.
Unexplained aerial phenomenon, really?
Yep, UAP. That's the latest nomenclature.
I like the old one. I like UFO. I don't know why.
Well, I think we can use them interchangeably, but I would like us to go into those files and hopefully make as much of that public as possible. If there's nothing there, let's tell people there's nothing there.
What if there is something there?
Well, if there is something there, unless it's a threat to national security, I think we ought to share it with the public.
Well, what if everybody's all hopped up on medical marijuana and everybody gets paranoid?
So he has to he can't go into it deeper, eh?
Share it with me. I'll decide what is the best course of action. I really have my ear to the ground.
Well, I'm more than happy to do that.
Are you jealous of Bernie Sanders'
slogan? Okay, thanks, Jimmy.
Because it is
now he just gets into all this other stuff. Thanks for not expanding on that whole thing, Jimmy. But, I mean, it was pretty fascinating. Hillary talking about UFO versus UAP.
Yeah, there you go.
What if she uses this on her platform? She's like, elect me and I'm going to get to the bottom of the UFO
Why are you
mystery.
doing these political hand signals? You're watching too much Trump.
I don't watch any Trump.
Well, you should be watching more.
I don't even really follow it. It's just interesting to me. What if Trump says, no, I'm going to also get to the UFO?
He's doing 9/11.
Oh, he's doing It's the battle. Hillary and the UFOs versus Trump and the 9/11?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
If they both
Either way, we're set. If
either way, we're being lied to.
Yeah.
Okay, we got Graham's quote in. One of these
That's
weeks.
it. You don't have to say you're not excited by that or anything?
No.
You think it's just bullshit?
It's just political.
It's just political bullshit?
I get more excited about ingrowing hairs.
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool that she mentioned that.
Yeah, but she's just pandering.
Yeah, I guess so. But Bill, her husband, didn't get to the bottom of it, and she's gonna now.
Yeah.
Except it'll all be national security anyways, right? So it won't be released. Well, yeah, we found some stuff, but it's national security. Confidential.
Bullshit.
All right, well, thanks for...
thanks for the thanks for the lesson and hand signals. And thanks to Hillary, thanks to Graham, thanks to Garnet. Enjoy the chat.
All right, tonight we have back on the show Garnet Schulhauser. He was on the show in Grimerica back in May. Yeah, May. Episode 115, I think. And we had a lot of good feedback about that. And Garnet's come out with his third book, which is called Dance of Heavenly Bliss. And he recounts more astral adventures with Albert, kind of like his spirit guide. We'll hear more about that. And the sub description is divine inspiration for humanity. So we're really happy to have you back on, Garnet, and thanks for coming back.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm delighted to be back here. I had a lot of fun the first time last May, and I'm looking forward to today's interview.
Yeah, I can't believe that a year's gone by already, and we had lots of good feedback, and I love these stories about spiritual awakenings, and it sounds like yours is kind of continuing on.
Yeah, it's continuing. And Albert, my spirit guide, as you mentioned, he has, after my first book, Dancing on a Stamp, he came back and took me on some astral adventures, which I detailed in my second book, Dancing Forever with Spirit. Then he came back again into my life for more astral adventures, and I've chronicled those in my third book, Dance of Heavenly Bliss, which has just been released. So that's presumably what we'll talk about today, but I'll let you go anywhere you want to, Graham.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want to go with that and see where things have left off. Like, we don't have to go too far back to your original book, so maybe just start off with, after book 2 and all that, and how some of your adventures have continued. I mean, if people want to go back, they can listen to the first one, or maybe we should just talk a little bit about maybe just do like a real Cole's Notes version of your original one. And then we can get into your latest one.
Just for people who are unfamiliar with my books or myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you spoke about my transformation. Very true. I was a lawyer practicing in Calgary, your hometown, right now.
Yeah.
Are you still
No, I
certified?
retired. I retired in 2008.
Do you lose that? Is that something you have to keep up, like a welding ticket?
Well, I voluntarily resigned from the bar because I didn't want to practice anymore. So I resigned. I'm not a practicing lawyer anymore. Don't want to be, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, I think you're the only lawyer we know, so you might get a call one day. It's just a matter of time till Grimerica gets in legal trouble.
Well, I'll keep that in mind, but I don't practice, so I'm not going to be of any help to you. But I did practice for 34 years in Calgary, and with Bennett Jones and 2 firms. That Bennett Jones is the last one in Bankers Hall East Tower.
Yeah.
You guys know where that is?
Oh, I'm sure Darren's been there. Yeah.
I built Bankers Court.
Oh, he built Bankers Court. Yeah, there you go.
So anyway, this was back in May of 2007. I was still practicing law, and I went for a stroll down the street one sunny afternoon in May down to Stephen Avenue Mall, and just to get some fresh air. And I walked for a block or so, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a homeless man jumped out in front of me. And he looked like a typical homeless man with long stringy hair and scraggly beard and dirty clothes. And, he smelled like a dead fish. So he he really filled the role of being one of those homeless people. I'm sure you guys have run into him on the Stephen Avenue Mall before. But my usual tactic was just to go around them. But this guy was different because he had these amazing, dazzling blue eyes. And he was looking at me like he was penetrating deep down into the depths of my soul. And I felt like he knew everything about me, everything I'd ever said or done, and all my deep and darkest secrets. And I didn't know how he knew this because we'd never met before. I'd never seen this guy before. And at the same time, his gaze was sending me this wave of pure unconditional love that was just infusing my whole body with an amazing sense of peace and security. So I stood there like a deer caught in the headlights. I'm not sure how long I stood there. I didn't really care because it was just wonderful basking in this guy's gaze. Then he broke the spell by saying to me, "Why are you here?" And then quickly disappeared into a nearby store. And when I finally collected my wits, I figured, well, gee, I better go find this guy. I need to find out who he is and why he stopped me. So I went into the store, and he was nowhere to be seen. There was only one entrance and only one exit, and he hadn't come out, but he wasn't in the store. So I went back out on the street, and I walked up and down trying to find him, but he had disappeared into thin air. He just wasn't anywhere. So the next day I came back to the same street, same time, hoping I could find him. And I walked up and down for a while, and after a few blocks there, I spotted him sitting on a bench all by himself. And so I went up to him and I said, "Who are you, and why did you stop me the other day?" And he said, "I'm a soul just like you, and I'm here to help you with your journey and answer your questions." So that was the start of a dialogue I had with this guy that went on for the next few months. And he told me his name was Albert, and he was really one of my spirit guides in disguise. And he told me that I was the only one who could see him in physical form. So had anybody else been passing by the bench that day on the Stephen Avenue Mall, they would have seen me sitting by myself.
Talking to yourself.
Talking to myself, exactly. Yeah, and I'm sure some people give me some really funny looks. And I didn't care because he was a very fascinating guy, very wise soul, and he gave me a lot of startling revelations that really flew in the face of what Christian holy men have been preaching for centuries. And part of the reason he showed up was not just to satisfy my curiosity. He wanted me to write a book about what he told me so that his revelations would be available to everyone. And so that resulted in my first book, Dancing on a Stamp. And so after I finished that book, he disappeared out of my life for a little while. And then suddenly he came back into my life quite abruptly in a different fashion. And basically, I woke up one night. I was sound asleep in my bed, woke up, and I could see this ghost-like ethereal figure standing in the doorway of my bedroom. And so I was wondering, like, what the heck is this? When it moved closer towards the foot of my bed, I could see it was Albert, my old friend Albert. He was in astral form. And so I said, "Hi, Albert, what brings you here?" He said, "I'm here to take you on a series of out-of-body adventures, some astral traveling, because I want to take you to the spirit side and to meet some wise souls there and to take you to see other places in the universe, because I want you to write about what you see and what you hear, because a picture is worth 1,000 words." So I said, "Well, okay, I've never done this before, so lead the way." So he then reached out and basically grabbed my astral hand and pulled my astral body out of my physical body. I've never done this before, so it was really quite strange. I turned around and looked, and then laying in my bed was still my physical body, sound asleep. And so I said, "Okay, Albert, lead the way." And he just led me up through the ceiling, up through the clouds, and we hovered for a few seconds high above our beautiful planet. And it's really quite a different experience, because when you're in astral form, you basically have no weight. You can pass through walls and ceilings and whatever, and you can basically travel at the speed of thought. So it was really quite a different experience. So then he led me through a shimmering doorway to the spirit side, and then in the very first time, and it described in my second book, Dancing Forever with Spirit, I met with some of my deceased relatives, including my mom and dad and brother. And my little dog, Oscar, who had passed away 10 years beforehand. And then I went into the white city called Gaia, where he introduced me to the first stop was sort of with the Council of Wise Ones, which is a body of very wise and advanced souls whose job it is to oversee all the incarnations on Earth. So that was the kickoff of my first set of astral adventures. And so that resulted in my second book, as I mentioned. after I'd finished that manuscript, he then appeared again in my life, once again in astral form, showed up in my bedroom unannounced and said, come on, we got a new set of adventures for you, and I want you to write about these in your third book. And that led to the writing of my third book, which has just been released, Dance of Heavenly Bliss. So that's sort of how Albert came into my life, and it's been an amazing adventure, an amazing transformation in my life, because I went from being a button-down, straight-laced corporate lawyer in Calgary to someone who's, almost 180 degrees opposite in terms of, my outlook and how I look at things and what I'm doing right now. So it was quite a change for me. He took me on a much different path than I had been on before, and it's been quite amazing.
Wow, thanks for that summary there. Yeah, do you feel like, I might have asked these questions last time too, but I am jealous. I was going to say, can we get Albert over here and to drag me out one of these nights? But I didn't want to ask if he's for hire, but like I'll
You've just
donate
cheapened
something.
Albert somehow, it seems.
I know, sorry, but I'd love to try it,
Graham's an avid astral traveler enthusiast who never actually astral travels.
That's okay, but keep hoping, and one day it might happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's okay. It'll happen one day. I can't even really lucid dream very well. I'm just trying to start with that.
Gadgets.
So do you think when you're writing your books, do you feel like it's like a channeling experience, or is it is there part of that? Like, he wanted you to write the books. Is he sort of like shining through you as well when you write them?
Yeah. He is, not in a direct sense, because what happens is every morning after I pop back in my physical body and I'd wake up, I'd remember the trip I had the night before very vividly. And so I'd go to my computer and I'd just quickly write down notes of what I'd seen and heard and who I talked to. And that formed the basis of my manuscripts. But when I was actually sitting down to write the manuscript based upon my notes, I felt for sure that I was getting, inspired messages from the spirit realm. And I don't know if it was Albert or other people, but certainly, Albert once said to me that all writers, when they're writing, they're really channeling spirit because most of their ideas come from spirit, even though they don't realize it. And they may think that all this brilliant thoughts that are popping into their minds and they're putting down on paper came from them. But in most cases, Albert said, it comes from the spirit realm, either their guides or somebody else over there. Yeah. So most authors do channel, and when I was doing the manuscript, I certainly, I'd go along and all of a sudden I'd be stuck on how to say something, and all of a sudden a brilliant idea would come into my mind. And I know now it was coming from the spirit realm. So thanks to those guys. I mean, otherwise it would have been a tough role.
Yeah. Did you have any sort of ritual practice, or did you have to do anything to get yourself in some sort of meditative state while writing? Like, did you have any relaxation techniques or anything like that?
No, I would just basically sit down and at the keyboard and just start writing, and sometimes nothing would come initially, and then after a while you start writing a couple of sentences and then a few more flow, and it seemed like gradually the tap opened up and I could just sort of tell my fingers were just flying along the keyboard, but nothing special. But no doubt the guys on the spirit side were giving me a lot of messages and helping me write my manuscripts.
Wow, that's fascinating. So how can you talk a bit about then some of your experiences that led to this third book? I guess we'll get into that a little bit deeper.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I saw a lot of fascinating places, talked to a lot of very wise souls. One of the first things in my first book is I had an astral trip to an aquarium in California, where there I met and talked with, by telepathy, an orca, a killer whale that was in captivity. Mm-hmm. And that was really quite interesting because this killer whale, basically, after my conversation with her, I realized that whales and dolphins are really highly intelligent, sensitive, feeling creatures with emotions, even though humans don't really think that they are. And they communicate with each other by telepathy. And their only hope is that someday humans will stop abusing their kin. Over the centuries that whales and dolphins have been hunted by whaling ships and trapped in nets and imprisoned in water parks and poisoned with our pollution, and they really hope that someday we can see the light and stop doing that to them. They just want to live in harmony with us and with the other creatures on our planet and with Mother Nature herself, and they really don't want to be subject to further abuse from us. They acknowledge that humans have been getting better in the last while in terms of trying to stop the abuse, but there's still too much of it going on. And so it was really a plea for her to say, please tell your fellow humans to give us a break, stop abusing us, stop, imprisoning us in your water parks where you make us do silly tricks for the spectators, because we really don't want to do that. We want to be out in the ocean where we can frolic in the blue waters of the Pacific and enjoy life as it was intended for us. And so it was really quite a heartfelt message from this killer whale. And I put that in my book because I wanted other people to understand their perspective, their point of view, and understand that they are really very intelligent creatures, even though they don't have any technology.
What about fish? Did they mention anything about fish?
Trying to get the walrus whisperer on. I've been talking to him.
Yeah, Damaris or whatever.
Damaris, yeah, the SeaWorld guy. Fish don't have feelings, I thought.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Garnet, did you get a sense of like what the fish are? Can we eat fish, do you think?
Didn't get into that.
What's your sense on that?
All animals have souls. Not all animals are as highly developed in terms of feelings and emotions as, say, the whales and the dolphins. So we didn't really get into that. I suspect that they have feelings and emotions to some degree, but not as highly developed as the whales and the dolphins. Whales and dolphins are sort of at the top of the food chain in terms of feelings and emotions and telepathic abilities, I think. But it doesn't matter, because all creatures, they have souls, and they have their own right to be in the universe, to be on our planet, and we should not abuse any of them.
Yeah. No, I remember I took my dad to a Korean healer once when he had cancer. Like, this is quite a while ago now, and he was trying to get us to meditate as a family, and to also stop eating red meat and chicken and stuff. And we talked about like fish being, and this guy thought that fish were at a lower level of consciousness, and that it's okay, like that a cow and like pigs and chickens know that they're dying, or know when they're going to die. And like, so it made sense to me. It resonated with me at the time that like there's like these different levels of consciousness in fish. Like, obviously whales and dolphins would be at the top, but like fish were just okay because they weren't really that advanced.
Yeah, and we didn't get into that sort of level of discussion. But Albert has said to me, I had a question for him, in my second book, I think it was, and I said, should every one of us become vegetarians? And he said, well, humans have been omnivores for 2 million years, and he said that it's not realistic to expect everyone to suddenly stop eating animal flesh. And he said it's not inherently wrong to eat animal flesh, just like it's not inherently wrong to do anything on Earth. There's no absolute right or wrongs on our planet,
right?
Despite what the religions say. So he says it's not wrong to eat animal flesh, but we should only eat what's necessary for our survival, and we should get rid of some of these quirky things like eating shark fin soup and all the other things that aren't part of that we don't need to eat to survive. And we should stop, like killing sharks just for their fins and other, egregious examples of how we abuse animals.
Yeah.
But if we treat animals with respect, and that means, of course, the ones who are raised for food, if we don't abuse them and treat them properly, and then kill them, in a humane fashion to be fed to humans, then he said there's nothing, he's not going to say that's wrong, but he says we really should try to cut back on the amount of red meat and that we eat, and gradually get rid of the chicken and then eventually even the fish. He said because it's for our benefit, because we will feel better if we don't eat animal flesh, and we'll actually be able to raise our vibrations quicker if not weighed down by animal flesh. So he said we should strive to do this, but don't. You can't just sort of say outright that eating animal flesh is just wrong. He says every person has to make their own decision, and he's just hoping that more of us will gradually move that way. And I know that I'm still not a vegetarian, but I've cut way back on the amount of meat I eat, and I'm hoping to sort of continue that. But the mind is willing, but the flesh is weak. And I was raised, on a farm in Saskatchewan where we had meat and potatoes. That was a standard fare. And it's hard for me to break away from that, but I know that I should be trying my best to do so.
Yeah, and there can be balance there as well. I mean, I've heard people talk about being like a weekend vegetarian or a weekend pescatarian, where like they're actually at least making strides towards some balance there, like only eating meat on the weekends, or maybe only like a couple days a week.
Being mindful of where your food comes from, where your meat comes from, what kind of meat you're buying. Because, I mean, everyone knows plants are conscious too, so it's just a matter of time till we figure out there's a real level of intelligence there. So once we can't eat meat or vegetables, we're fucked.
You know, I mean, we have to be realistic that we're humans. We have physical bodies. We have to feed our physical bodies. You know, in times past, they didn't have supermarkets where they could go and get all of their nutritional requirements, you know, from the supermarket in a strictly vegetarian sense. Now we can now, but it's going to take a while before we sort of switch our thinking around to that. But, you know, as Albert said, it's not wrong for a lion to kill and eat a gazelle. They have to do that to survive. You know, it's not wrong for a fox to kill and eat a rabbit because they need to do that to survive. And so if we have to eat meat to survive, you know, that's fine, but we should gradually try to move away from that and move into more of a vegetarian diet. So it's like it's an ongoing process, and it's not going to happen overnight. You know, it's not okay for vegetarians to diss all the meat eaters or vice versa. I mean, we all have our own paths to follow. Yeah. And we have to do what we feel is right for us.
Interesting. So what about other messages or encounters?
Well, one of the surprising ones, Graham, was that he actually took me for a meeting with Gaia, the consciousness of Mother Earth. Yeah. And, you know, most people think that Earth is just a bunch of inert molecules like rivers and mountains and rocks and soil and, you know, all the stuff you see on our planet. And they think it's inert and without any consciousness. Our planet actually has a consciousness. And I had a conversation with this consciousness. Her name is Gaia. And it was, Albert took me to a cavern under the North Pole of all places. And he took me there, and there was sort of nothing in this cavern. It was sort of dimly lit by, you know, glowing walls. And I wondered, you know, why did you bring me here, Albert? There's nothing here. And then all of a sudden I heard this voice. It was from Gaia, and we communicated by telepathy. And she said that she's the consciousness of Mother Earth. And so I was a bit surprised at that. And she said, yes, I do have a consciousness, and I'm not just inert molecules. And I'm the sum total of everything that you see, you know, right from the crust all the way down to the molten core. And I mean, that's me. And she's very protective of her flora and fauna. Like, she's really, especially her animals, she really wants to provide a safe environment for all of her animals. And she is really distressed at the way humans abuse the other animals on the planet and abuse her with our pollution. She doesn't understand why we can't see that we shouldn't be polluting the place that we live in. Yeah. And she says we emit noxious fumes into the atmosphere and spill toxic chemicals in our rivers and oceans and our soil. And she says, you know, it doesn't make any sense. You guys are just on a course that if you don't stop it, it's going to be very bad news for you guys. And she said she really wants us to cut back on our pollution. We've been making strides in the last while, but we need to do more. And she said, here's the surprising thing, guys. She said she has the power to fight back. She can actually control and manipulate the natural disasters that happen on our planet, like hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, droughts, and so on. And she says that she's going to increase the intensity of these, which she has over the last number of years. I think you guys have all seen all the news reports about, you know, the natural disasters that seem to be having a greater effect on our planet and with ever increasing frequency. And she says, well, you know, I can do more of that. I don't want to get rid of humans, but right now you're like an invasive weed that's sort of trying to take over the whole planet and squeeze out all of my other creatures. And that's just not fair. And so her message to me was, please tell your fellow humans to wake up, change their ways, and quit polluting the place they live in.
Was there anything when this was starting to happen to you again? Did you have a whole bunch of things that you wanted to ask? Like, I mean, obviously, it must have been strange. So you meet, you know, some mammals, and then you speak with Gaia, and then you must be thinking, like, what's next? Like, and what do you want to know personally about like, did you have a list of questions, or did you have some intention on, like, what to really ask for next? Like, I can imagine myself thinking, okay, like, I got to ask some pretty crazy questions here to the next, you know, spirit that I encounter.
For the most part in these trips, it wasn't because he was trying to answer my questions. He had an agenda. Albert did. and he wanted me to see things. And so he would just sort of show up unannounced. I wouldn't know when he was coming. And he wouldn't tell me where we're going until basically we got there. And so when I tried to ask him questions, a lot of the times he would say, put that on hold. I'll get back to that later, but I have something to show you. So it was really his agenda, and he took me where he wanted me to go and what he wanted me to write about. So, and I still have a lot of questions he hasn't answered. I'm hoping that someday he will. But for the most part, all these places he took me to were places that he wanted me to see. And there was a lesson or something in in every visitation.
Right. Man, so that Gaia one, Darren, does that remind you of that? We did this episode recently about this guy's theory. His name is Neil Adams, and his theory is that the planets are actually growing.
Oh, through
pair production and stuff. So and I thought of the consciousness of planets and these theories that you hear about, like the Gaia theory and all that, because obviously if she's conscious, then other planets are as well, and the whole universe is conscious at some level.
Yeah, I would. Albert didn't mention this to me at all, but I suspect you're right. If planet Earth has a consciousness, why wouldn't all the other planets and most of the things in the universe have a consciousness? Makes sense, because we're really all connected to the source.
Yeah,
the source that created us all. And so because of that interconnection, the source is certainly very conscious. And so, why wouldn't everything be? Not necessarily on the same level, but there's a consciousness to virtually everything. And so, yeah, I'm sure the other planets have a consciousness. Maybe someday I'll get a chance to talk to them. But clearly Albert wanted me to focus on what's happening on this planet so I could write about it, and hopefully we can change some people's views on pollution and other things that we do and the abuse that we heap on other animals.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about psychedelics or anything like that? Like, I like the idea that, Earth as a Gaia is being conscious. That would really give a lot more credence to people who talk about psychedelics being natural as a part of the evolution of the human mind. If you want to go that far, if nothing else, I mean, it's proven that these things are helping people change their outlook on life or spirituality or fighting addiction or whatever it is. When you look at the Earth as a conscious thing, that kind of would support that a little bit more.
Yeah, he didn't get into psychedelics at all, or the use of drugs to sort of see the spiritual enlightenment part of our universe. But that could well be. I don't know. But what he's really was trying to encourage all humans by whatever means they feel necessary, through meditation or whatever, to embrace love and see the spiritual side of the universe. And that was his goal, is to encourage us to do that, to raise our consciousness, raise our vibrations, so that one day we can actually, leap up and make the ascension to Earth in a higher dimension, which is a much more pleasant place than the one we currently have. So clearly, that was his goal, to encourage us to really make a step up the spiritual ladder and get ourselves out of the cesspool of negative emotions that we currently find ourselves in.
Yeah, I noticed a couple of chapters in here that like gentle giants and little people. What is that all about?
Gentle giants. What happened was, after I left the cavern and had the conversation with Gaia, I said to Albert, I'm surprised about what I just encountered, and he said, "Oh yeah, well, your planet has many more secrets than you can ever dream about that you're not even aware of." And he said, "I'll show you a couple." So first stop was to a forest in the Pacific Northwest of America, and there I encountered a Sasquatch, also known as a Bigfoot or Yeti or whatever. Comes by all kinds of names. And so I had a conversation with this Sasquatch, and her name was Xana. She was about 9 feet tall, with a kind of like an ape-like head and muscular body and dark hair covering her entire body. And she was a very wise, intelligent, sentient creature. And she said that the Sasquatch have been around for eons, and that they basically live on all continents of our planet except Antarctica. And they originated a long time ago in Africa as a result of a giant primate in Africa that's now extinct, that was inseminated with the sperm from a group of humanoid extraterrestrials a long time ago. That's where Sasquatch originated. And after originating in Africa, they spread through all the other continents, and they've been around for a long time. they hide. They deliberately avoid contact with humans because they view us to be violent and aggressive, and they don't want to mess with us. And so they hide in underground cities. They come out mainly at night, and they have this, which she terms sort of like an animal-sensitive radar, and that sort of radar allowed them to detect humans from many miles away. And that's why they were so adept at avoiding contact with humans, because they could detect long before we ever got in seeing range. They could detect that we were there, and they would just go and hide. And the odd occasion they were spotted by humans. Sometimes they were careless and left footprints, but basically they've been pretty discreet about having contact with humans, and they don't want to change that, because until humans learn to live in harmony with the other creatures on our planet, they have no intention of making open contact with us, and they're going to continue to hide, which is really a shame, because they're really very sensitive, wise, compassionate creatures who just wanted to live close to nature and live in harmony with everybody else on their planet. But they found a real obstacle with the human race, which is really unfortunate.
That kind of matches, Darren, that kind of matches what Tom Powell was saying. We had a guy on about Sasquatch not too long ago, and he was talking about, it's shifting his research into the more high strangeness aspect of it, because it's not just a flesh and blood type thing. And he mentioned telepathic encounters from people that he was in contact with, and I think the message was very similar to the one that you got, It's very, very close. I can't remember where the origin of them came from as far as those messages. And then Darren's wearing a Take the Shot Sasquatch shirt. And I'm a proponent of Save Sasquatch. I won't take the shot.
I just want to shoot one so that I can protect the beast.
Well, you don't need to shoot one to protect them, Darren. You can protect them by convincing your fellow humans to quit messing around and trying to,
I'll have better luck with the body, though.
If one of them were captured, somebody would put him on display in a circus. It's just like that's just how humans treat things like that. So they're not going to come out of hiding, and you're not going to be able to shoot one, Darren, because they can see you coming from miles away.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
That's one of the many problems, Darren.
So the other interesting creature, fabled creature, the stuff of legends that I met was a fairy in Ireland. And Albert took me over to Ireland, and there in a secluded glade, I met with a little person from Ireland. They've been famous for centuries, the stuff of legends. But nobody's ever been able to catch one or prove that they exist. But I met one. She was a little beautiful little lady. Her name was Brina, about 3 feet tall, and she looked like a tiny, perfect China doll, like just exquisite. And she was a very nice little person, very timid, very compassionate. She said that the fairies had been living in Ireland for eons before humans arrived. They had a very nice existence. They would, they were up on the surface, and they were enjoying, dancing in the rain and frolicking in the sunlight. And it all changed when humans arrived on the island. And at first, they thought that humans were just bigger versions of themselves. Then they soon discovered that we're really mean and aggressive and violent and belligerent, and that we were not to be. It was not wise for them to be around us. And so they went into hiding, just like the Sasquatch. And they currently now live in underground cities as well. They come out at night, when they can. They try to avoid detection, and they hope one day, like the Sasquatch, that we can change our ways so they can freely, come out on the surface and frolic in the sunlight once again, and not worry about being attacked or abused by humans. So again, a similar message, but it just goes to show you there are more things in our planet. As Shakespeare said, there are more things dreamed of in your philosophy, in heaven and earth that are dreamed of in your philosophy, and was really demonstrated to me, is that there's all kinds of things that Gaia has up her sleeve that that science has just not recognized or acknowledged. So interesting experience.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about it pretty comfortably. I was wondering, listening to you there, like you must realize that a lot of people, must think that's just crazy, right? But I mean, for some of us who have had some experiences that are unexplainable, or whatever, like you just don't really seem to give a shit if people think that's crazy or not, right? Like you're pretty comfortable with it.
I'm way past that. I know that some people think I'm crazy. It doesn't bother me. Initially, when I first came out of the spiritual closet and wrote my first book,
the spiritual closet, I like that.
Yeah, that's the term that one of my fellow authors said. I came out of the spiritual closet. So when I did, initially, I was concerned that people would laugh at me behind my back and think I had lost my mind. But after going down the road a ways, I don't care anymore. They can think what they like. I mean, I know what I saw. I know what I viewed.
Yeah.
I know what Albert told me, and I'm quite happy in my own skin and my own space in terms of where I am. And so, let the skeptics laugh all they want. I don't care.
Yeah. So I was gonna, that's one. I wonder why that sounds like fairies that contact kids or whatever, right? You know how kids seem to have more of an experience because they're just not like the nasty trolls that like adult humans are. So that kind of makes sense as well.
Yeah.
Well, they can be pretty nasty.
Kids?
Oh yeah, I have kids.
To fairies?
What? Not to fairies,
Well,
no. But
yeah, but
they're not all.
not all.
They're not all smart. Most of the time they are, but sometimes I think my daughter might be the devil.
Yeah, I think children probably do see people from the spirit realm and fairies and other things more often than adults do because they're more open to seeing things and just trying to understand what it is as opposed to immediately dissing what you see as a dream or hallucination or something gone wrong with your mind, and so all too often parents will just tell their children, well, you didn't really see a spirit or a fairy or whoever, it's just your imagination. And they call them imaginary friends, but in most cases they're not imaginary. So you should keep that in mind, Darren, as your kids tell you about their experience with spirits.
Oh no, they don't. They don't really talk about that a lot. I just mean my kids aren't always all sunshine and rainbows, as Graham alluded to. But my daughter does actually talk about. She talks about past lives sometimes.
Really?
Not directly, but she'll talk about when I was this, or when I was a boy, or when I was your grandpa. Or...
That happens often, Darren. I mean, I have read about other cases where children do talk about past lives, or they will start speaking a language they've never been exposed to, and it comes from a past life, or they will go to a different city, and all of a sudden they will know things about the city that they shouldn't know because they've never been there before, but they're remembering a past life. And so it does happen often. It soon fades away, though, because parents usually don't just tend to dismiss what they're saying, and eventually their memories just fade. But that does happen often, and it's just a matter of the memories of a previous life leaking through to the current life. But those memories soon fade, and so I don't remember any of my past lives. I don't know if you guys do, but that's just natural for humans.
Yeah, I've had a couple past life regressions, and I've had some interesting things come up from that, but I can't just consciously just go there and remember it. It's interesting about the culture thing that you guys were talking about with the kids and stuff. I just saw this documentary that a listener recommended that I watch, and it was about Iceland, I believe, and how they believe so much more than we do about fairies and spirits and everything from ET and all this, and even like the people in the town council and the police and everybody is just accepted that like fairies and elves and all this exist, and the kids grow up realizing that it's a possibility, and there's a bunch of mediums and healers, and it changes the whole dynamic and the amount of experience people see. Like there's a whole school classroom seeing this sea monster in the lake, like all kinds of experiences, and it seems like it really is because people have that belief system as they grow up. And like here in the western part, in Canada and the States especially, you just can't, you're not allowed to talk about that stuff really, I mean, well, I guess with some parents you can, but I think it does affect the type of experience that people have.
Yeah, we have a different mindset in North America, and I wasn't aware of how it was in Iceland, but I'm very encouraged by that. I mean, if we can get more countries to follow their lead, it would be really great, and would sort of encourage people, whether adults or children, who encounter spirits or encounter elves or fairies or whatever, to really be not afraid to speak up and talk about it. And right now, I think there's too much fear in people that if they start talking about, spirits and so on, that other people, their friends, neighbors, relatives, are going to think they're going crazy. And so that's just that's holding people back. And it'd be nice if more people would come forward and say, "Yeah, this is what I saw." I think it would be amazing.
Yeah. It's called Elves, Ghosts, Sea Monsters, and ETs in Iceland: Investigation into the Invisible World.
I'd like to move to Iceland. They got like the best. They threw all the bankers in jail. It seems like their economy is doing well. It seems like the people are happy. It's just cold.
Especially in the winter.
Yeah.
Although I'm told it's pleasant in the summer, but the summers are short, unfortunately. But yeah, I agree with you. Iceland sounds like a idyllic kind of country, and I'd like to visit there someday. But if you do before me, Darren, send me an email and tell me what you think.
I will do. Maybe I'll get you some
fairy dust or something?
The puffin.
What's a puffin?
Remember Dvorak was talking about
the fish?
No, it's a bird, but they prepare it a certain way. It's supposed to be just the most awful thing ever.
Yeah.
They're so cute, little puffins.
So, Garnet, what were some of the other highlights from your encounters of this book then?
Well, one of the other interesting things about the history of our planet, most archaeologists say that I can't remember how old they think or how long humans have been around on the planet. Albert actually took me to the akashic records on the spirit side. As you guys know, the akashic records have the records of every life that's ever been lived anywhere in the universe. And so he showed me a scene where there was a human civilization that lived among the dinosaurs 65 million years ago.
Huh.
Now, the archaeologists say that's not possible because we have no evidence of it. That's the scientific community. But he actually showed me. And this was sort of a small village, basically. It was in basically a walled city to keep the marauding dinosaurs out. And they had a very basic life, no technology. They lived close to nature. Men and women were equal in all respects. They shared the cooking, cleaning, child rearing, hunting, house building duties. They had no crime or violence because they understood their connection to the source and to each other. So it was a very pleasant, harmonious society. And they did kill other animals for food and for clothing for their skins, but only what they needed, and they didn't waste anything. Yeah. And so it was interesting. I actually saw a hunting party sort of creep through the tall grass outside of their village and kill a hadrosaurus with spears. And then they quickly hacked it into pieces and strung the meat and everything else on poles between them, and then headed back to their village. And then they heard the roar of a marauding Tyrannosaurus Rex. So they quickly scooted in through the main gate of their walled city just in time. And the T-Rex came and banged his head against the door, but it was very thick. He couldn't get in, and so eventually he went away. But it was really quite of an interesting scene. And then the tragedy of it all is that not long after I viewed that scene, Albert said that the asteroid hit the Yucatan Peninsula, that some scientists have already acknowledged, and it kicked up a bunch of dust and caused a bunch of volcanic eruptions all around the world, which kicked up more, dust and smoke and so on. And the planet basically ended up in a nuclear winter, like for 3 or 4 years. That basically killed off most of the dinosaurs and a lot of the plants. And unfortunately, this civilization, this village where they lived, it was buried under about 200 meters of lava from a nearby volcano. And so why haven't they discovered it? It's buried under a lot of very thick lava. Someday we may find it, but anyway, it was interesting for me to see this scene in the Akashic records.
Huh. It would be interesting if we found it, if it was somewhat preserved because of where it was buried.
Like Pompeii.
Albert says we'll find it someday. It's just that they haven't gotten around to it yet. They haven't noticed any evidence to start digging, so they haven't done it. This civilization was in Central America somewhere.
Did you get a sense of how long it was around for? Like, was it over like thousands and thousands of years?
Yeah, I think it was around for quite a while. And this group of humans were originally seeded by the ETs from another planet. And so they were dropped into the planet Earth. He didn't say how long before that, but I think it was for quite a while. And they were an experiment to see if how humans would do on Earth. Anyway, that poor civilization got wiped out through no fault of their own. But humans have been seeded periodically since then. And so we've had a long history. But some of the experiments didn't work for various reasons. In some cases, like Atlantis and Lemuria, humans rose up to a very high level, a lot of technology, and then just destroyed their civilization, basically, because their technology went amok, or the people who ran it did. And so there was a lot of civilizations who crashed and burned through their fault. But this one that lived among the dinosaurs, it was just a freak accident of the cosmos. The asteroid hit, and the rest is history. How much
influence did they have after the seeding? Like, did they just seed and then let you be? Or?
Yeah, basically their directive is, the ETs, is that they seed the life and then they have to let it play out as it will. So they didn't know how humans would end up, dealing with the planet Earth, or how their civilization would turn out. And they weren't allowed to sort of directly interfere. They have, over the ages, helped us by giving us some inspiration for technological advances that would make living better and easier for us. But they couldn't sort of directly, give us their advanced equipment, or they couldn't stop us from killing each other in wars. They had to sort of let that play out. And they're really upset with sort of our current civilization, the way we've developed, because we're sort of at the same point that Atlantis and Lemuria and some of the other ones were before they crashed and burned. And they're concerned we'll do the same, because we have weapons of mass destruction, and we can basically wipe out all life on our planet if we let loose with them. Yeah. And they're hoping that we won't. But they're not allowed to come in and just destroy our weapons and say, make nice guys, because we're here and we're in charge. So they have to sort of stand back and watch us abuse each other and kill each other, and hope that we'll turn the corner before it's too late.
So was Atlantis like Atlantis and Lemuria? Were they places on the world, or were they like a name for the world? Like, some days our old civilization will be called Earth, like back in the Earth days.
Yeah, as I understand it, Darren, they were places on Earth, they covered specific areas. Atlantis was in the Atlantic Ocean, and Lemuria in the Pacific. And so they actually had specific places for the civilization, and they rose up to great levels. And then they ended up, because of mishandling their technology, they destroyed their civilizations. And it happened in those two cases, of which we have some records of it, although a lot of people dispute that they actually existed. And then there's been a few others that we're not even aware of that did the same thing. And so it's been a bit of pattern with humans on Earth to rise up to great levels and then just end up crashing and burning. And so they really are hoping we don't do it again this time, even though we now have the capability of doing that. So that's really sort of their wish and their hope, but they can't just sort of step in and make everything right for us. It's just not part of what they're allowed to do here.
Did you figure out where home is then, where we're being seeded from?
No, he never did tell me where humans originated, but there are human civilizations on many other planets in our galaxy. So Earth is not the only place for humans, but he didn't say where we originated or what our first planet is. But he did take me to a couple of other planets that have human civilizations, and one of them was very depressing. It was a planet where they had seeded two different races at the same time. One was human. The other one was sort of like a human mutant that had been mutated from basically a feline, from a cat. So they had a human body and a cat-like head. And they had put one group on one continent and the other group on another continent. They were still very primitive, and they wanted to see who's going to develop faster and what's going to happen when they finally discover each other. And so, unfortunately, the human race on that planet developed slower than the other one. And the other one advanced more quickly, and eventually they found a way to build boats and cross the ocean to go to the continent where the humans were. And because they were more advanced and they had more advanced weapons, they basically enslaved the humans. And they made the humans work in the mines that they used to create, to find minerals that they needed for their weapons and other industry. So when I went to this planet, we went to the human side, and these poor humans were just totally enslaved. They had to work basically 12 hours a day in the mines, and then they went back to squalor in the villages that were guarded and with high fences and so on. So it was a horrible existence. And I said to Albert, why don't the ETs do something about this? And it was sort of the same answer. Well, they can't really interfere. They planted this experiment, two different species on this planet. The other species, unfortunately, was more dominant, and the humans were enslaved and subjugated. And he said, that's the way it played out. But although somebody was had made a petition to the council, to the Galactic Federation, to see if there was some way they could, save the humans on this planet and help them out of their predicament. So that was a depressing kind of a visitation I had of a human civilization. I went to another one, which is really quite different, and it was a very advanced civilization, advanced technology. They had ultra modern cities with tall buildings and flying cars and moving walkways and the whole thing. The interesting thing about this one was that it was a matriarchal society ruled solely by women. And so there were men in the society, but they didn't have the right to vote. They couldn't hold any positions of power or authority. And they were basically, sort of out of the scheme of things in terms of running the planet. And I met there with the empress there. Her name was Marpesia, and she was elected by the vote of all the women on the planet. And she said that even though it's a matriarchal society, they didn't subjugate their men. They weren't cruel to their men, and their men were free to sort of pursue activities, sports, find a low-level job if they wanted to, or just enjoy life. And she says the reason that men allowed this to happen was because they were all sterilized chemically at the age of 3. And so they had basically no testosterone. And she said that eons ago, they had been a patriarchal society ruled by violent and aggressive men. And then one day, one of their women had a dream. She had a vision, which told her that there was a plant in their forest that, if ingested by the men, would drastically reduce their testosterone levels. And so she found this plant and basically started feeding it to her husband and give it to other women. And soon it spread around. And eventually they moved from a patriarchal society to the matriarchal society they have right now. And so it was very peaceful, harmonious. She said that the women, seldom got into disagreements. And when they did, they settled all of their conflicts peacefully. So there was no violence, no crime, and no violence, certainly from the men, because they were all very docile and compliant and deferential. And so that was a different example of a human civilization that took a much different turn than, say, the one on our planet. And I said to her, that's an extreme. Surely there must be a happy medium between the extremes of your planet and the extremes of my planet. Maybe there's something halfway ground where we can all live together, peacefully and harmoniously without having all the men sterilized. And she just sort of shook her head and said, well, good luck to you, but we're not changing our ways. And I said, okay, well, if you don't mind, I'm going to get the heck out of here before you decide to convert me into one of your men. And so away we went.
Yeah.
I had no desire to be a eunuch on her planet.
Yeah, exactly. So back to our planet for a bit. Like, do you think there is a point when they can intervene? Like, you've heard these stories of nuclear bases being intervened by UFOs, and I'm not saying it's all ET. It could be something else. But is there a point when, over the years, they're staying away, they're not intervening, and then we start blowing up nuclear weapons in the 40s and stuff? Is there something that will actually, allow them to do that?
Yeah, according to Albert, if we're going to do something, it would absolutely destroy our whole planet. They could stop it and stop that. But if it's just a matter of fighting among ourselves and wars and skirmishes and genocide and terrorist activities, they're just basically have to let it play out. And so if it really gets very serious and we're going to blow up our whole planet, they can step in. And so I don't know. He didn't mention about I've read about those episodes too, where they're allegedly are interfering with nuclear plants or nuclear weapons, or I've heard some stories that they're actually destroying some of the weapons. Albert did not disclose that to me. He didn't comment on it, so I don't know if that's true or not. But I would actually stand up and cheer if I thought the ETs were allowed to interfere more directly, because I think it would help us a lot.
Yeah, interesting. People also say that those nuclear weapons are doing more damage to not just Earth, but it goes past our atmosphere and our it has some deeper effects in our solar system. So interesting.
Yeah, and I've heard too also that the reason there's so many of them watching planet Earth is that because they're really afraid that if we blow up our planet, it's going to affect a lot more things than just our planet, affect the solar system, and in fact, affect a lot of other things in the galaxy. And he didn't really get explained in detail how this would happen, but he said that's why there are so many different ET races watching what we're doing and hoping that we can pull the fat out of the fire before we end up having to, be rescued by the ETs, and because they really don't want us to blow up our planet.
Yeah. Well, we must be at the most interesting time. Like, if all this was really happening and there was people watching the planet, we are at that time where we're like ready to leave the planet or blow it up. Like, we're at that cusp. Like, it must only come around so often, right? Where the civilization is apt to destroy itself or move on and destroy other worlds. Like, it must be like the best tourist attraction ever. Like, oh, here's planet Earth, and it's they're at that point. It's like 9 to 9 in overtime, and
you actually said it very well, Graham, because that's basically what it is that we're at a very crucial point in our development. And it's either we're going to take the left fork or the right fork, and depending on which one we take, we could destroy our civilization, or we could move on and start exploring the stars and move on up the spiritual ladder. So we're at a very crucial point. And the activity, the observation activity really did pick up once we split the atom in the Second World War. Because all of a sudden they sort of like woke up and said, hey, these guys are really more advanced than we thought that they were. And now they have the capability of blowing themselves up. So we better get in there and watch what's going on and be ready if we have to move in to stop that from happening.
It sounds like there's an overarching message as well that you've been getting. It's basically like love and compassion. I mean, we've heard that before as well from other guests and stuff. And it's I don't know.
I mean, that is the ultimate message. I mean, the way to save ourselves is quite simple. I mean, it's simple in concept, not so simple to actually put it into practice. But the concept is embrace love and compassion. And if you fully embrace love and compassion, the negative emotions like fear, anger, hate, greed, jealousy, all those emotions that cause so much violence and troubles on our planet, all those emotions, if you fully embrace love, will just melt away like a snowbank in the spring. And that's a simple, that's where we have to go. That's where we have to get to. And if we can do that, we can save our civilization. And it's not easy for a lot of people to control their negative emotions, but it's something that we need to do. And that's the goal. I mean, our task is clearly set before us, just a matter of trying to implement it. And the people who know where we should be going, like you guys and me and a bunch of other hosts and people who write books, we need to tell everyone else what the problem is and how we can solve it, and then maybe we can move forward and get ourselves out of this mess.
I keep thinking it's like there's going to be a tipping point where it doesn't have to be everybody, or it doesn't even have to be half, but it has to be a certain amount of people that kind of realize that love and compassion is the way, and then maybe it'll shift things.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the tipping point is, Graham, but clearly at some point, things will tip over in favor of love and compassion. We're not there yet, but we need to keep working at it. And then when it happens, I think it'll just be an amazing development, and everyone will be so much happier. But there's still way too much negativity in our planet, and that's just the cause of too many of our problems.
Has Albert given any insight into the monetary system and how money is controlling people, and it seems to be the cause of most people's trouble or their burdens, or if you talk to most people, that's the one thing that kind of controls their happiness, is as sad as it sounds, more than anything, which is, they say money can't buy you happiness, but I think that comes at a point, because when you can't afford to buy food for your kids or something, it's pretty hard to be happy.
Yeah, it's a major factor in our lives, Darren, for sure. Albert did not specifically talk about the monetary system or the control of money in our planet, but to me, it just makes sense that that's all part of the negativity we have in our planet. The control of money is nothing more than an expression of greed, and it's the people who have lots of money want more of it, and they're not willing to share it with the other people. And that's why some people have very little. They don't have enough to eat or drink, and they don't have enough clothes to wear. On the other spectrum, there's a whole bunch of people who have way more than they need, and they just keep on trying to grab much more money as they can. And so that's just part of one of the very negative emotions we have, which is greed.
So, Garnet, how has your view, how's your worldview changed? Like, we know that some of it, you've had this huge shift. It's like a 180-degree shift since you're a lawyer, and now you're writing these books about spiritual encounters and stuff like that. How else has your worldview shifted over the last few years?
Well, I look at everything around me quite differently, Graham. Like especially people, and I realize that all people. You see them walking down the street, your neighbors, co-workers, whatever. You realize that they're all spiritual people having a human journey on Earth, and that we're all souls. And so we all came from the same place. We came from the spirit side. We came here for a human incarnation. When our bodies die, we all go back there, and that realization just makes me, recognize that we're all connected, and that we should all understand that we're all having a different journey. And that we should never judge other people because you don't know what challenges they've faced. Yeah. You don't know what lives they've had in the past. You don't know where they're going in the future. So it's really, there's no way you can actually judge people, and you shouldn't judge people because if you really love other people, there's no room for judgment. And so I look at people much differently. I also look at animals much differently. I mean, I was raised on a farm, and we raised animals, chickens, cows, pigs, and I never sort of felt that they were, connected to me in any way. I realize now from Albert that they all have a consciousness and a sense of feelings, different levels for sure. They have souls. And so, I just look at animals much differently. And like even my little pet dog, the one I have right now, I look at her much differently since I met Albert and realize that she's just having her own journey on Earth, and she's trying to find her way, through her journey on Earth, just like I am, and eventually at the end of the day, she's going back to the spirit side as well. So it's very different perspective, and it just makes me look at things way differently than I did before.
And it's easier on you too. Like I find myself judging people quite a bit, and I'm like, and then I start thinking, why am I even judging them or even upset at what they did to me? Because who knows what's going on with them? Like all that negative self-talk and all that stuff going on in my head, like it's just not healthy either. Like just let that shit go and realize like that guy that cut me off in traffic, maybe he's got a lot worse shit going on right now than me. Like why am I worried about all aggro because he did something to me, right?
No, that very well said, Graham. And that's exactly what people need to do, is they need to realize that, like you say, when somebody cuts you off in traffic, instead of giving them the middle finger salute, just, pipe down and say, okay, that guy's maybe having a bad day. Who knows what happened to him? He's just trying to struggle his way through life on Earth, and, cut him some slack. And I think if we all do that more and not let our anger well up and govern what's going on. And in some cases, I can remember when I would get cut off in traffic, I would get so angry that it would bother me for the rest of the day. Yeah. And that's just totally stupid, because it's a waste of energy. It's just and
it's hurting yourself.
Yeah. There's nothing good that can come of it, and we just have to let these things pass by and get on with our lives.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. So, Garnet, is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap this thing up?
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't mind telling people where they can get information about me and my books.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to link to all your stuff in the show notes as well, so people can just swipe right or left or whichever way they swipe and go to the show notes and click on your website from there as well.
Yeah. Well, the best source of information about me and my books is my website, which you're going to have a link on your webpage, and there you can read a synopsis about each of the books. You can download a free excerpt. You can watch a book video. There are buy links on my website where you can immediately dial into Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Chapters Indigo, whatever, and get to where you can buy my books. There's links to all my social media sites there, like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Google Plus and YouTube. And on my website, I have posted the recordings of all the radio shows I've done since I first had my first radio show in June of 2013. Nice. And so right now, this is number 84 for me. And nice. All those recordings are there.
Great. Two of us, two Grimericas will be up there.
Yes. Yeah. This one will go up as soon as I get the recording.
Right on. Good stuff. Well, thanks a lot, Garnet.
Are you on the Twitter?
Yeah, he's on the Twitter too.
I'm Twitter too, yeah.
Are we following you?
I don't know, but it would be nice if you did.
Yeah, we should be. I probably have, and then
follow me on Facebook as well. That would be great.
And then I unfollowed.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
No.
Anyway, it's been great, guys. Thank you for having me, and I've really enjoyed being here.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Garnet. Take care.
Take care, you too.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
And big thanks to Garnet for coming back on the show. What'd you think, buddy?
Hey, it was interesting. It sounded a little more, what should I say? Not extreme, but a little more out there maybe than the last couple. Like, it's like his messages are getting a little sort of deeper, a little more like...
Involved.
Yeah.
What'd you think? It was good. Yeah, good to have Garnet back. Good old Calgary boy.
Yeah.
I still think we need to shoot a Squatch, but
I'm fascinated by the people that have these experiences that switch them like 180 degrees. Like a bunch of our guests have had these things happen in their life. They switch, they start researching something, they start writing books. And it reminds me of the message from like Neil Donald Walsh or some of these like non-dogmatic spiritual sort of channeling books that, you could argue and say, oh, well, channeling doesn't, it's not real or whatever, but the messages from these books are pretty fucking good. They're just love and compassion, and it's not dogma. It's not very, you need to believe this, you need to believe that. It's just like, be good to each other.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's never like they need the money or they're not trying to hustle you. It always just seems like a nice message.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we need you to do some astral traveling.
I know. Well, you know what happened the other night? I drank lucid tea and then also the peace tea, which has some other ingredients in it.
Is lucid tea a drug?
Well, it kept me awake. Fuck, I was pissed off. I had two cups of it and then I was awake. And yeah, it didn't work. It worked the opposite, actually.
Does the lucid tea have...
No, there's no like mind-altering substances
caffeine?
In there. No, I don't think so. No, it's all natural.
It's
all natural.
Non-caffeinated.
Yeah.
Isn't caffeine natural?
It helps me. It helps me have clear. It helps me have clearer dreams, and I remember them a little bit better. I don't necessarily remember them more that day, but I remember them more like when it's happening. If that makes sense.
Isn't caffeine's naturally comes in coffee? Could naturally come in.
Yeah, I don't think they're herbal teas, I think, right? Doesn't herbal tea not have caffeine and the other tea does or something?
I suppose it depends on the herb. Or does caffeine have to be a bean?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Because caffeine, there's black tea or green tea has tons of caffeine.
A leaf,
right?
wouldn't it? A leaf a herb?
Is a leaf a herb?
I don't know. Neither of us are intelligent enough to be having this conversation. I'd like to know what podcast.
I know a herb comes from a leaf.
What are you doing? Like you're grabbing some balls.
It's a herb, herb.
What's herb? Herb, is that your boyfriend? Herb.
What were you saying?
What podcast player are you using that you can swipe left or right to get to the show notes?
Oh, iCatcher, man.
No, if you swipe, you fast forward.
No, look. When it's in this mode, when it's in the list mode, look, watch. Grimerica talks NDEs and the Dead Saints Chronicles. Look, I pop it to the show notes and I get them all right there.
Yeah, but if the podcast is playing...
Well, then you just click on the top right.
Then you swipe it.
Yeah, then you click on the top right.
You're going to have a bunch of people are going to fast forward the show.
Oh, yeah, good point. They're not always with the...
You fucked us.
No, they're not always with that up and open. Like when I'm listening, I'm on my phone as well, right?
You're listening to the
Oh, there you go.
Let's see what happens.
You're listening to the Corbett Report.
Oh, actually it goes back. Unless they go, if they go the other way.
Come on, you're advertising for another podcast here.
You're listening to the Corbett Report.
Our modern day lives.
So it goes forward 15 seconds and back.
You didn't know that? I do it all the time.
I fucking knew that.
I do it all the time.
For what, commercials?
No, when I was not paying attention. I was internal and I just go back a little bit.
Internal.
I fast forward like 30 seconds through commercials or more. I don't listen to commercials.
Absolutely. That's why we're commercial free. Of course, check out grimerica.ca/support for all the different ways you can help keep us that way. Of course, the monthly subscribers are the guys who really help us pay the bills.
Yeah,
but we'll take one-time donations as well. course, right now we're running our campaign, grimerica.ca/upgrade. We're
about 30% to our almost 30% to our goal of a new computer.
So we got 33 tickets sold at the time of this recording. So that leaves about I don't know, 82 left.
Yeah.
So jump on them. They're $20 each, 3 for $50. We will be raffling off that iPad and the Grimerica prize pack as soon as the tickets are sold out or on June 1st.
What? Do you think we can do it by June 1st?
I don't know. That's when the...
Is that what we decided to do?
That's what it says on the site.
Does it? Did we put a timeline on it as well?
3-year anniversare.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. We'll do it. And if we don't sell enough, then we'll just pay the rest ourselves and we'll just raffle it off. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're I think we'll be okay.
Don't forget the best part of it is the winner would obviously get to
join us on the show
with the guest of their choice, assuming that we cannot get a hold of the guest and schedule them and all that good stuff.
The other thing is I was going to mention on that other swiping is that I do always make the music breaks exactly 1 minute. So it's a double 30-second skip ahead.
Really?
Yeah. I just started that about 40 episodes ago.
That's good to know.
Now you know.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Sign up for the newsletter, Spam Graham.
GRAHAM, not the way Darren says it, at Grimerica.com.
And tell your friends about the show. Other than that, thanks for listening, guys. And we will see you next week.